A very good morning to all the students of class 11th and class 12th political science. And students, welcome back to the online classes here. But today, before moving to our further topic of our chapter, I would like to take this opportunity and tell you something important relating to COVID-19. Okay, so certain important instructions have been given to you from the very beginning of this session, and from time to time we have been revising these instructions in the videos as well as in your homework portal and your worksheets. But still, I think because of this festive seasons and so many marriages and in the markets you can see there is so much of a rush, we have stopped taking those precautions very seriously now. It's not about you only, it's about us also and everyone around us. We can see in the society how people have started neglecting those important instructions which are very important to fight against this COVID-19. So I will again try to just remind you those basic and important instructions which you have to follow now onwards again. So like wearing masks, follow physical distancing, that is social distancing, maintain hand hygiene. And you know this very well, but we are not following them. Like wearing mask, how do we wear mask? We are not covering our mouth and nose properly even. So these are some of the important. We are not following social distancing, we are not maintaining our hand hygiene, and these three things are very important. These are the most important three elements, I would say, if you have to fight against COVID-19. So you have to follow these. So this I am also telling you certain important other instructions which you already know. Wear mask properly. Okay, this is the instruction, you know, wear mask, but you have to wear it properly. You don't have to just wear it for the sake that okay you have to wear it. No, this is for your precaution, this for your protection. So wear it properly, cover your nose and mouth properly. Stay at least 6 feet from others. So in the markets you can see these days there is so much of congestion and people are gathered at one place in the marriage functions and in the markets. So you have to maintain 6 feet distance from the other people. Okay, wash your hand frequently, always with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Whenever you are coming from outside or you are coming in contact with anything which is outside your home, you must wash your hands properly for at least 20 seconds with soap or hand wash. Okay, remember to not touch your face. Okay, when you are outside, it happens you are touching many things, you are traveling, you are going to the shops, you are holding various articles, but after that you don't have to touch your face. Okay, you will be using your sanitizer also to sanitize your hands from time to time, but still after that also you don't have to touch your nose, your eyes, your mouth. And so avoid touching your face when you are outside. You have to, once you have to come back, you have to wash your hands. Okay, and do not share food or drinks with others. This is the most important. When you are going to schools even, or you are going outside, you are traveling to your neighbor's place or your relatives, try to avoid having or sharing foods and drinks with the other people, because at this time period now people have started neglecting and the cases are going higher and higher with each passing day. So you have to take precautions once again, and this is the appropriate behavior which is required to fight against COVID-19. So I hope you will be following these instructions, and along with us it is, or we also have to follow all these instructions properly. Thank you. A very good morning to all the students of class 11th political science. And students, we were doing the third chapter of our book, that is political theory. This is the second book of the syllabus. First book we had already finished, and this is the third chapter, and this is part number 10. So I have already finished 9 parts of this chapter. This is the last part of this chapter, that is part number 10 of third chapter. And the topic which we shall be covering is affirmative actions. And the meaning of affirmative, yesterday I had already told you in the previous video. Affirmative actions means giving some special treatments and facilities and priorities to some social groups which are being deprived, we can say, or some small group, maybe relating to some caste or social group. Okay, so today in completely we will be trying to understand, when we talk about equality and various dimensions of equality, what do we understand by affirmative actions, and what is the need and importance of these affirmative actions by the government through various policies to bring about equality in the society, to form the equitarian sort of a society. So let's start this topic today, that is affirmative actions. So affirmative action is based on the idea that it is not sufficient to establish formal equality by law. Yesterday in the previous video we had already covered what do we mean by formal equality by law. That is laws made in the field of economic, political and social fields, where we have to eradicate lot of inequalities. So there were formation of various formal laws to promote equality. So these formal inequality which were promoted by law are not sufficient to bring about equality in the society or make a equalitarian type of society. So when we wish to eliminate inequalities that are deeply rooted, so when we are trying to eliminate such inequalities which are deeply rooted, these which are being existing in our society from a very long period of time, and that is why the word has been used, deeply rooted. Their roots are too deep and it is not easy to eliminate those inequalities easily, as people and the law and the system had already accepted those type of customs and laws, we can say, or the inequalities. So it is very difficult to eradicate such type of inequalities which are deeply rooted. It is necessary to take some more positive measures to minimize and eliminate entrenched form of social inequalities. So it becomes very important to make some positive steps towards promoting equality and eradicating these social inequalities. So we are trying to say here, just making laws to promote equality is not sufficient. Here we will have to take some positive and important steps if we have to eradicate and eliminate those old existing deeply rooted social, political and economic inequalities in the society. So some positive steps are to be taken along with formal equality by law. So most policies of affirmative actions are thus designed to correct the cumulative effect of past inequalities. So when we talk about affirmative actions, it means these are the same positive measures which we are talking about. These are the some positive steps which we are taking through these affirmative actions. There are few policies which are designed especially to correct and reduce the effect of past inequalities. What are inequalities in the field of society, in culture, economics, economy. So all these inequalities are to be eradicated and their impact is to be reduced through these affirmative actions, under which we take various policies. So we shall be taking as understanding various policies which we take under affirmative actions to reduce the effect of past inequalities. I hope you have at least understood what do we mean by affirmative actions. Okay, now moving forward. Yes, I hope this is clear now. Affirmative actions can, however, take many forms, from preferential spending on facilities for disadvantaged communities, such as. So when we talk about affirmative actions, means we are talking about various policies which we put forward to reduce the impact of past inequalities. So affirmative actions can, however, take many forms. These actions can be in the various forms, from preferential spending on facilities. First of all, giving few facilities to disadvantaged communities. Disadvantaged communities are there in our society, and providing the students with scholarships, giving them proper hostels and food, to special considerations for admission to education institutions. So when we talk about educational and education system in India, then we are also giving scholarships and hostel facilities to some of the disadvantaged communities in our society. And in the same, in the jobs also, we are giving them some considerations and some advantages. Okay, in our country we have adopted a policy of quotas or reserve. As you know it very well, in our country we have adopted a policy, a system where we call it a reservation. Lot of debates are still going on. Every day we see in the news channel when we talk about reservations or quotas. There are a fixed number of seats in the field of education as well as in the jobs, government jobs also, to provide equality to opportunities. And these reservations and quotas have been fixed by the government through various policies to promote equality. So provide equality of opportunities to deprived groups, and this has been a subject of consideration, debate, and disagreement. So if we see it every day in the news channels also, there is always disagreement, debates, and basically there are considerations of the subject relating to the reservations which are given to the most disadvantaged communities in our society in the fields of education as well as in the job opportunities. And these reservations and quotas have been put forward just to promote equality in our society. Okay. So further discussing this policy of reservation which we see it in our daily life, this policy has been defended on the ground because there are many criticizers also and there are many supporters of these type of quotas and reservations in our society for basically for the disadvantaged groups. So this policy has been defended on the ground that certain group have been victims of social prejudice. So when we see some social groups, there are always differences in the system of our society where there are a lot of discrimination and differences between various castes and religions. So we can say many castes and groups have been victims of social prejudice and discrimination in the form of exclusion and segregation, where people are made to realize that they are not a part of a society, they are being segregated or they are being isolated from the society, they don't feel like a part of a society. So to bring equality and to provide equal opportunities to them, we have a system of reservation and quotas. These communities who have suffered in the past and been denied equal opportunities cannot be immediately expected to compete with the other on equal terms. So these are few of the disadvantaged communities who have always been we can say discriminated on the basis of caste, color, language, in especially in India. So they cannot be denied equal opportunities, cannot be immediately. So it's written here, who have suffered in the past and been denied, they have not been given the equal opportunities, so immediately they cannot expect that in our country suddenly they will be able to be as equal as to the upper class. So it will take time. Therefore, in the interest of creating an egalitarian and the just society, they need to be given special protection and help. So if we want an egalitarian and just society in our country, we need to give special protection and help to these disadvantaged groups, because within few days they cannot be as equal and they cannot compete with others on equal terms. Okay. So slowly and gradually they will develop, but they should be given proper special protection and help and equal opportunities to grow. And reservation and quotas are one such instance we are talking about India when. Okay. Yes, now moving forward. Next paragraph is, special assistance in the form of affirmative action is expected to be temporary or time bound. So when we talk about giving affirmative actions or preferences and facilities or in the form of reservation and quotas to some disadvantaged groups, so it cannot be permanent. Okay, they are temporary and or time bound measures. So whatever policies we are making to make a equitarian type of society where people are treated equally, everyone has equal opportunities, those affirmative policies and actions are temporary and time bound in nature. They cannot be permanent. Like if you are talking reservation, they cannot be permanent for everyone and for all the time, for all the generations. There has to be some certain temporary time period. The assumptions is that special consideration will enable these communities to overcome the existing disadvantages. So assumptions, some ideas have been given that why we are providing the support to these disadvantaged communities, so that they can overcome existing disadvantages and they compete with others. So whatever disadvantages are there for those people, they can overcome those disadvantages in the society and they can compete with the others on equal terms. Although policies of affirmative actions are supported for making the society more equal. When we talk about affirmative actions, these actions and these policies are supported only because here through these actions and policies we try to make a society equal, that we are trying to construct a equitarian type of society. So that is why these affirmative actions are supported, but along with it there are many criticizers also. So many theorists argue against them, but there are many theorists and scholars who will always argue against these affirmative actions. Okay, if I am supporting reservation, that there should be a reservation policy and quota, fixed number of seats in the field, and also for the women, for tribal people, for the backward classes. But there will be some of the scholars and people or the group who will be criticizing me that this system should not be there in India or in our society, as if we talk about equality, everyone should be treated equally. It means if we are giving reservation, we are treating people differently. So always there are different ideas regarding various affirmative actions. So if yes, some people will support, but some theorists argue against them, they criticize these policies, they question. So these criticizers, these theorists, they question whether treating people differently can ever lead to greater equality. So that how can we promote a greater equality or a equitarian type of society if we are treating people differently? Okay, you are providing help and support to the disadvantaged group in our society, but with that other people can say that why the advantage is given to those society, if they are most capable, if they can, they will do it themselves, why government is helping them? So in this way there can again be a chaos in the society amongst the people, there can be division in the society. So as I told you, when we are studying about political science, especially this political theory, and in detail we are studying this equality and freedom, democracy, citizenship. So all these are very vital terms which we have to understand. That is why we say there are multidimensional topics which we have to study properly. Okay. So along with it, now we'll see what are the critics of positive discrimination. Critics of positive discrimination, particularly policies of reservation. So when I talk about policies of reservation, thus invoke a principle of equality to argue against such policies. So when we there are always people who will always argue against such policies of reservation, because if we talk about reservations, it means we are going against the principle of equality. Here we are giving some important and extra precaution and help to some particular social group, so it is against the principle of equality. But if we see it on the positive note, it is very much required to upbring the deprived social groups in our society, so that they can also have the equal opportunities to grow. They contend that any provision of reservation or quotas for the deprived in admission for higher education or job is unfair, as it arbitrarily denies other sections of the society their right to equal treatment. So they are saying, they contend that any provision of reservation, if there will be any provision of reservation in the society, whether maybe in the field of admissions or in the field of job opportunities, and if we talk about higher education or job, unfair, if we provide some help and reservation to some part of the society, it can be also be called as right to equal treatment, right against equal treatment. They maintain that reservations are a form of reserve discrimination, and they continue with the practice where the principles of equality question and rejects. So here the critics are against the reservation. Okay. Yes, as when we talk about equality apart than reservation, equality means to treat each and every citizen and every person be treated alike, everyone should be treated equally, there should not be any reservation or special treatment to anyone on the basis of caste, color, language, whatsoever. And when we make distinctions between individuals on the basis of their caste or color, we are likely to reinforcement caste and racial prejudice. It means if we are giving reservation to some part of the caste or social group, it means we are trying to show some distinctions and differences between various caste and racial prejudice. For these theories, the important thing is to do away with the social distinction that divide our society. It means they are trying to say that such type of actions, or as we are talking about affirmative actions, divide the societies, and there are always differences amongst the people of various caste and color and language. In the context to this debate, so this is a debate, I am saying that some people support reservation and help and promoting the deprived groups of our society, but on the same way, if we talk about the principle of equality, it is against the principle of the equality where we are treating people differently. So, in contrast to this debate, it is relevant to draw a distinction between equality as a guiding principle of state policy and equal rights of individuals. So, what the conclusion we get from this debate is that, of course, we will be working as will always be a guiding principle of our state policy, but equal rights should be given to all the individuals. Equal opportunities should be provided to all the individuals. Individuals have a right to equal consideration for admission. Every individual should have the equal consideration and equal importance when we talk about admissions to educational institutions and public sector employment or in the job. But if it see, but competition should be fair. When we see, when we are talking about admissions in the colleges or professional courses or government jobs, everyone should get the free and fair chance to participate, but competition should be fair. Sometime when competing for limited seats or job, people from deprived strata may be at disadvantage. Suppose there is seats for some professional courses or some government jobs, so these people who are from the deprived society or from the backward society, they are at disadvantage because the need and circumstances of the first generation learns who parents and sisters were illiterate, because their parents and ancestors have always been illiterate, so they are always at the disadvantage. Whereas parents or some of the students of the first generation, they are educated families, so they are better able to guide their children properly. members Members of excluded groups, whether they are Dalits, women, or any other category, uh, deserves and needs some special help. So when we are talk about deprived social groups, so we are taking examples of Dalit, women, and any other category, they deserve some special help. So when we are talking about equal opportunities, so they should be given some special help. To provide this, the startup must devise social policies. So under this, to give them some special help, the this affirmative action should have some social policies which would help to make such people equal and give them fair chance, so that these people can have equal chance and opportunities and fair chance to compete with others. As I told you, there is a difference if I talk about the family backgrounds. So such policies should be made where these people will also be getting support from the government. The fact is that in the sphere of education and healthcare, India has done far less as it is deprived population than what is their due. Here it's written, the fact is that in the sphere of education and healthcare, India has done far less for its deprived population. If we talk about a deprived backward population of India, our Indian government have done very less in the field of education and health. Education and health, there are a lot of problems for the deprived group of our society. Okay, inequalities in school education is glaring. Many poor students in the rural areas or urban slum have little chances to attend schools. Here if you talk about villages or urban slums, here students have very little chances to attend the school, and if they attend the school, there are a lot of difference in the quality of education which the people of the urban areas or the elite groups students are having. If they do not get chance, their school have little to offer. They would be comparable to facilities. If you talk about the facilities available in the elite schools, the inequalities which where children enter school tend to continue to hamper their chances to improve their qualifications. So when they move to the higher classes, there will always be difference in the quality of their qualifications, okay, and the type of environment they have been into. These students face hurdles in gaining admissions to elite professional courses because they lack means of pay for special coaching. And when we talk about the professional courses, these people who from the deprived societies, backward societies, they always are at a disadvantage if we talk about the economy also, because they do not have so much of a strong economy to support their education. As we know, for these coaching institutions, for a particular professional courses, for taking coaching, we require a lot of money, and they do not have that. So although our government and system is providing equal opportunity to compete in the exam, everyone can fill the form, it's okay, but are we providing such basic infrastructure and basic facilities to all the students who are from the deprived society? Are they getting a chance to take admission in the coaching? So we can say consequently they cannot compete on equal terms with the more privileged section. So the more privileged section is at advantage as economically they are strong, and financially as they are strong, their parents are literate, they have all the knowledge and understanding of the society. They are the powerful people, but disadvantaged people are again at disadvantage. Social and economic inequalities of this kind hinder the pursuit of equal opportunities. Social and economic inequalities of this kind hinder the pursuit of equal opportunities. Most theories today recognize this. What they consist is not the goal of equal opportunity, but the policies of the state should pursue to achieve that goal. Exactly the thing I told you, that it is just the formal laws which have been made in the constitution or in the through the parliament, through the government, that okay, equal opportunities will be given, there will be no discrimination on the basis of caste, color, language. But what about the basic facilities which they require to compete along against the people or against the people of the more privileged section? So we have to look into those facilities also. So, while reflecting on the issue of equality, so when we are reflecting, we are talking about the issues of equality and the dimensions of equality, a distinction must also be made between treating everyone in an identical manner and treating everyone as equals. The latter may on occasions need different treatments. So we are saying that here, as according to the principles of equality, that everyone should be treated identically in the same manner. But also later in this chapter we have discussed that on occasions there are some situations where we need and we are forced that we have to, different treatment is given to different such cases of the primary considerations to compete promote equality. So some people are given differential treatment in and those differential treatment are not given to give them advantage, but to give them equal opportunities to promote equality. This is a reason where we are giving reservations to some society. It does not mean that we are giving them advantage over the other people in the society. It's just we are promoting equality and giving them equal opportunities, a platform where they can compete with the other group. Different or special treatment may be considered to, if we talk about different and special treatment to some group of the society, it means we consider to realize the goal of equality. We have to achieve the goal of equality. That is why we are giving them some special treatment, because they are deprived group, they need the help, but it requires justification. But we will always have to show the justification and careful reflection that why we are giving some type of affirmative actions or policies for certain group. Okay, so this is the part of discussion, and with this we come to the end of this chapter. And from the next video we shall be starting our fresh chapter. Till then, thank you.